Hi out there, admins. How we all doing? I'm contacting all the lodges in the state of Indiana this time. This video is a little bit different than what I normally put out because the Indiana Department of Revenue has decided to change some rules, and in their infinite wisdom of trying to make things more easier on the lodges and non-for-profits, to me personally, I think they've made it more complicated in the long run. So everybody, all lodges should have received this letter from the state in the last week or so, stating the changes being made to the NP-20, which is the state's version of the 990. Now, I understand that all lodges run a little bit different. Some lodges use CPAs. Some lodges do it in-house. If you're using a CPA, you're probably going to want to reach out to them. They should know about this coming, but you want to make sure you make contact with them. I'm going to bring that back up at the end of the video about a situation too that you probably need to be talking to your CPA. So the Indiana Department of Revenue now says that you can file your NP-20 every 5 years with some stipulations, naturally. First of all, you've had to have filed your 2021 filing, which you file in 22. So all lodges should have filed their 2021 by September 15th of this of 2022. If you file that, you're going to qualify for this automatically. Then going forward, depending on what your last 2 digits of your FEIN number, which your Federal Employee Identification Number is, depends on when you're going to start reporting and then fall into that 5-year category. So some of you won't be doing it 5 years from now. You'll be doing it in a couple of years and then getting on that rotation. Again, this letter states when that is, and I'm going to break all this stuff down individually, and we'll cover it one part at a time. So if your EIN number is on here and you're 0 through 24, the first time you're going to be filing, again, if you filed in 21 correctly or 2021 in 22 correctly, then you'll be okay. You will file your first one May 15th of 2024. Now, this gives you till the May 15th of that year, but basically when you're doing your 990s and everything in September, once you send that off after September the previous year, you should be fine. Even if you file an extension, which would give you till March, you should have that done by the 5th year in your rotation here. So the very first year, if your last 2 digits run between 00 and 24, you'll be filing in 2024, so just a couple of years. And then you'll be on that rotation of reporting every 5 years. And then it has on here all the other numbers. And of course, if your number's in between 75 and 99, your first filing won't be till 2027. Now, I understand how that makes things confusing. So, like we always tell lodges that have their important dates list that comes from Moose International, that color-coded sheet that has when you should be sending everything off when it comes to IRS stuff, Moose International payments, endowment, all that stuff. That second page has that about a third of a page that's blank. And we always say that's where you should be putting all your stuff that's unique to your lodge. Your liquor license and when it's due, your gaming license, things that are specific to your lodge that, you know, don't blanket cover everybody on the dates. You should put that on here too and put in big bold letters, you know, what year you're going to have to start filing that on. It's going to be a little confusing, so you need to use that space wisely. On here, it does say one caveat, and I said there would be a few caveats. If your lodge has more than $1,000 a year in unrelated income, and that's a lot of my lodges have unrelated income that totals more than $1,000, you still have to file yearly. So remember that. Again, I'll say it one more time. If your lodge has more than $1,000 in a year in unrelated income, you have to file yearly. On here, it also talks about using end time for reporting this information. Again, like I said earlier, some lodges use CPAs, some do it in-house. Several lodges are very familiar with end time because that's where you go now to, you know, pay payroll taxes, state your sales tax, you renew your entertainment permit license that way. All that stuff's on there now. If you're a lodge that's been using a CPA and hasn't really used that, you need to still go ahead and register because it says on here you need to register, so they will send you an email reminder because they will not send the forms out anymore. On here it also says the same thing for your tax exemption certificate, they're not going to send that out in the mail anymore. You have to go on In Time and print it up and have it. So you're going to have to get on In Time on some level. Make sure you're using the Lodge email. Don't use a personal email. Don't use a Lodge at Gmail account. It has to be the Lodge at Moose Units, your business email, so that in the future, if there should be a changing of the guard, somebody can get in there and get the information that's needed. Also, while we're talking about In Time, like I said, also that's the way you're going to be getting several of your certificates and your permits nowadays. That you can go on there and request that stuff. So you guys need to be getting very familiar with the In Time website. Unfortunately, I'm not in a lodge anymore per se, so I'm not on there a lot. So I'm having to, when I get questions about it, have to go on there and help them, and it takes me a while to get through it and see where they need to go to find certain pieces of information because I'm very rarely on In Time. And so this certificate says on here, it says it won't go out till January, or starting January 1st of 2023. So next year they will not be sending that any paper certificate. So you have to go on In Time to get that. I think that's all that I have on here, information for us to go over. Again, if you didn't get this letter, I'm going to take a copy of this letter here and attach it to this email, and I'm going to just mark off the specific lodge that this one went to. Someone shared this with me, and I appreciate that. If you have any questions, contact your territory manager. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to reply to this email or get your territory manager. Have a good day, guys. Take care.